Couch, and of course we know that on Thursdays we do the very, very hard talk, the hard conversations. My name is Kokwalo Maso, and once again I'm sitting in for the woman herself, Ama Pratt. Well, this evening I've been joined by the morning man. Cut the whole, joined by the morning man on a Thursday evening. Kojo Youngson, good evening.
Good evening.
And many thanks for once again responding to our call.
The pleasure is always mine.
Right. And to my boss, before the show started, actually, I told him that it's been a few years since he gave me the opportunity to be sitting in for him as far as the morning show is concerned. But I'm never, ever at ease whenever he's on the show with me. But I have to do it, and I just have to take away everything and then just do it. Kwame, good evening.
Kimi appear as a monster. You're comfortable sitting with you, I'm not uncomfortable sitting with you.
That's not. I trust you're fine, by the way.
I'm doing very well.
Our viewers miss you.
Oh, Charlie. The viewers should understand.
They understand.
There are some turbulent times.
Exactly.
And turbulent times calls for turbulent measures. So we are turbulenting the measures.
Right. So there are a few trending topics that we shall be looking at this evening. We shall be going into that sale. I don't know if it's been concluded, or I have no idea, but I'm sure that the process is still ongoing. The sale of Smith's 60% stake in 4 hotels to Rock City owned by the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Honorable Brian Champon. We shall also look at the galloping dollar. The dollar is running. If you need $100, you'd have to cough out a whopping 1,500 cedis and a few pesos, if I'm not wrong. So we shall be looking at that. Also, we know that a former member of the New Patriotic Party, Hobson Adoye, he's been arrested, processed for court already. We shall be looking at the reasons behind that as well. So these are the issues that we shall be looking on tonight's edition of The Couch, and I'll implore you to be with us, stay with us all the way as we attempt to dissect the issue. So without further ado, without further delay, we shall get into the very first conversation, something that was brought to the attention of Ghanaians by the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. And in one of his exposés, we got to learn that SNITs, they have intentions of selling off some 60% stake in hotels they own here in Ghana to Rock City, which is owned by Honorable Brian Champon. The hotels are the Labadi Beach Resort. We also know that the La Palm Royal Beach is one of them. We know that Ridge Royal is one of them, then as well as the Elmina Beach Resort. So these 4 hotels, Smith has some stakes in them, and then it's up for sale. Well, I'll start the conversation with the morning man, and why the rancor, why the resentment from a lot of Ghanaians? Because if a Ghanaian wants to buy a stake in property which is owned by Ghana, what is wrong with that? Would they have generated the same sort of antipathy if a foreign entity had come to Ghana and say, look, I want to buy the stakes in this property owned by the state? Why the rancor?
It's a good question. But the answer is actually, to me, quite straightforward. It depends on the Ghanaian.
Okay.
I think in order for the people of Ghana to have faith that their leaders are not in it for themselves, it is important that we govern by certain rules. And one of those rules is that if you are put in public office, public interest, public good must come before your private interest. Otherwise, we can't put you there. If you can't assure the people of Ghana that you will put their public good before your private interest, then we can't put you in public office. You must stay in your private capacity and do your private business. That's why conflict of interest is something that we must learn to abhor as a people. But we seem to, as yet, not have understood that it's even a bad thing. And I wonder, maybe some of it is cultural. I mean, I'm a Fanti. We have an expression, it is an unfortunate sounding expression, but it is one that we believe that if you are given a job, you must gain personal benefit from it. So people even think of the idea of a minister of state owning state property, and they don't see anything wrong with it. And he's not the only example. We can go back through our political history and you'll find many other examples of people who are politically exposed, taking advantage of their political exposure for private gain. I mean, where do I start? After running down a bank with loans that he couldn't pay, his brother then became president and sold the bank to people they know. As president, his brother allowed him, and I'm talking about Ibrahim Mahama, allowed him to get all manner of contracts, including the entire bauxite concession. Pretty much the whole thing. We didn't see anything wrong with it. In fact, when it was pointed out, some people defended it. That's Ghana. Then we had a finance minister. And I mean, for me, this is the worst example of conflict of interest I've ever seen. He goes to borrow money in the name of Ghana. Borrow billions of dollars. And while he's borrowing it, the transactional advisor, the company that will be paid millions just for, I don't even know what these transactional advisors do, because borrowing money is a pretty straightforward routine thing that has been done over and over again. You don't reinvent the wheel when you are going to the euro bond market. But every time we go with a transactional advisor owned by the finance minister who is leading us to go and borrow, and his company makes millions every time we go into debt. The poorer we become, the richer he becomes. And we thought that was okay. His insurance company raking in millions from government contracts. They shouldn't even be bidding for government contracts because he's the finance minister. He obviously is in a position to influence the outcome of these bid processes. Besides that, why are you gaining privately from public office? The president said it. He was making so much noise about it. If you want to make money, don't come into my government. Blah, 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 blah. Now the richest people, the people making the most money, are in his government. So I'll be honest with you. Forgive me. I'll be honest with you. This is something that Ghanaians should all abhor. But we are yet to get there. Or it depends on who's doing it. If it's someone we like, then we are okay with it. If it's someone we don't like, then we have a problem. But this deal in itself has many problems. I'm sure we'll get to the deal itself. But I'm just going to wrap up by saying this. The deal in itself, the idea that a minister is buying a minister of state is buying state property is problematic. Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa brought it to the attention of the public by filing a petition. Now his petition was very technical in nature. He sought to apply specific breaches of specific rules and laws. And that's what you have to do when you are filing a petition. So he talked about the fact that as a member of parliament, there's a procedure you must go through before you engage in any business that brings you profit or pay. You must get the permission of the speaker. He also said that one of the hotels, the Cape Coast one, Ridge Royal, has a minority shareholder who, according to the shareholder agreement, should have been given first right of refusal before any other outside company comes to buy the shares. Then finally, he raises questions about the financing of the deal, because it appears to him that there is perhaps some measure in place to let this company, Rock City, buy SSNIT's interest in these hotels but pay in installments, which means that, according to Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa, Brian Achampon's company could end up owning SSNIT's interest in these hotels and then use the profit of the hotels to pay, which would be, I mean, it would be fraudulent, really, if that was ever allowed. So based on these and a few other issues, he filed a petition. Now, Brian Achampong did something very interesting. He approached it frontally. He said, I want to talk to Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa in public, on air. Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa should put his issues to me and I'll respond. So Mr. Ablakwa put these same issues I've raised to Brian Achampong, and he answered each one. First of all, he said, well, I'm a shareholder. A shareholder doesn't need to go and seek permission from the speaker every time he's buying or selling shares. Imagine you own shares at MTN. Every time you are selling some of your shares, you have to go and talk to the speaker. Or if you are buying shares, you have to talk to the speaker. It's not practical. Shares are bought and sold so fast on the stock market. You can't be going to ask permission every time you do that just because you're a member of parliament. And in this case, he's a shareholder. Then Okudzeto Ablakwa pointed out to him that actually you're not just a shareholder, you're also a director of your company. There are two directors, you're one of them. To which Mr. Achampong said, well, I'm actually a non-executive director. Just that when you're registering at the company registry, the form you fill doesn't give you a chance to say that you are non-executive. So he put himself down as a director. To be honest, if I had been doing the questioning, I would have sought some clarification there. Because according to company law, every resolution of the company must be passed by two directors. You have only two directors on record. So that means those two directors pass every resolution of the company, which means you are one of them. So you can't be a non-executive director. It's either that or all the resolutions have been passed by only one director, which means you are breaching the law. So which is it? But I wasn't questioning him, so I couldn't ask him that. Then it comes to the minority shareholder thing. He said, oh, we did give them right of refusal. We gave them 40-something days to find money to come and buy. They couldn't, so I stepped in. It's verifiable. Then we came to the issue of buying the thing and paying in installments. He denied it. It's the kind of thing that you must present evidence. He denied. He said, no, it's never happened. Mr. Ablakwa pointed to some other deal that was done earlier on some Kumasi hotel. He said, no, that's not what happened there. I bought from a private shareholder. Then I sought to buy the remaining 20% or whatever that SSNIT owned. And we paid. We agreed on an amount and we paid. So he addressed the technical issues of the petition, and that was that. But for me, it's not a technical issue. A minister of state is buying state property. There is everything wrong with that, if you ask me. Mr. Brian Achampong is a fantastic businessman, I'm sure. I'm sure that there are many opportunities in this nation he can take advantage of. I really don't think that as a minister, he should go anywhere near state business. For me, it's that simple.
Right.
But unfortunately, there are too many predecessors, too many examples of people doing this in the past for us to single out Mr. Achampong and say that he alone is doing the wrong thing here. That's my take for now. I'm sure we'll talk about the deal a bit more later, but this is what I'll say for now.
Right. So SSNIT issued a response when the issue first came up. I would read their justification. A few of them. They've listed about 13 pointers, but I'll read just 2 or 3. The trust is seeking to partner a strategic investor to raise capital to invest in the hotels and also assist in their management. The primary objective of finding a strategic investor is to increase efficiency, profitability, shareholder value, and the long-term sustainability of the SSNIT pension scheme. Accordingly, SSNIT went through international competitive tendering processes as prescribed by the Public Procurement Act 2003 as amended by Act 914 for the selection of a strategic investor. And this will be the last one I'll read. The trust commenced the process with the engagement of a transaction advisor through the ICT I think we learned that the transaction advisor was paid in excess of $400,000 or so. The trust commenced the process with the engagement of a transaction advisor through the ICT method of procurement, with publication of advertisements in the Daily Graphic on 14th November 2018 and in the Ghanaian Times on 15th November 2018. The advertisement was also published in an international magazine, The Economist, in its January 5 to 11, 2019 edition. It goes on and on and on, but for the sake of time, I can't read everything. Is this proper justification, Kwame, for the sale of this 60% shares?
Well, let me say a good evening to our viewers and then big one to the Morning Man and to yourself. To be honest with you, I did not develop any keen interest in this subject matter because I find it continuously strange that all the time such issues come up, especially with the sale of state properties and with the individuals who are involved in the purchase of state properties. You recall the AU village, you recall Jacobechi Bilante, you recall, I've been told that the Boston Institute now, I'm told, you know, even though there's no evidence yet, but I'm told that it's been sold already. There are several state institutions which have been sold to politicians and people who are party apparatchiks alike. So I'm not surprised at all that, you know, something of this sort is recurring. But what surprises me is the attitude of SSNIT. And I'm happy that Kojo looked at it from the perspective of the minister. So I do not want to belabor that because I think he has fantastically explained to us that it is a no-no. That if you are a minister of state, you have no business purchasing state property. And I think that he's dealt with that, you know, frontally, and we must bury that. But SSNIT, the trust belongs to pensioners, right? Or pensioners.
Yeah.
Now, every decision that you take must be in the interest of the people who provide or who pay into that trust. So SSNIT is not an entity which deals in business or which is, you know, which operates as a bank, or which is a necessarily profit-making entity, for which reason they can take decisions without necessarily consulting the people whose monies you are using to do all these things. It was an issue when they started investing in hotels. I do recall that several questions were asked, and they justified why they were investing in some of these, hotels and things like that, right? Because they wanted to generate money so that they would be able to pay the pensioners. So if you are going to deal with the property, if you feel that now is the time for you to deal with the property the way you want to deal with it, I would have thought that the most important thing you should have done was to consult the people who pay into the trust and to find out whether or not they are happy with you selling off their shares, because the shares belong to the people who are, paying into the trust. That didn't happen. Now, if you even look at the board, right, the people who constitute the board, arguments have been made that there are too many political people on the board, and so whatever decision that is taken is not necessarily taken in the interest of the persons who contribute to the trust, but in the interest of the political elite. That for me is also very troubling. Now, let's look at the genesis of this. And you see, I've heard different conspiracy theories and arguments being advanced in relation to the sale or otherwise, or the process in trying to sell off, these hotels. That it is rooted in the Japadia policy. That they want to find a way of capturing state entities, and they want to find a way of still being in control, some form of control, even when they're in power. If I say they, I'm talking about the Akufo-Addo and the Achin people, okay? And it flows from the stream of the multiplicity of things which have happened over the period, which things directly finds expression in the Ajapadiya document. And so even when the board chair of SNIT was moved and Osafo Mafo's son was put in place, I mean, you know, when you go into the Ajapadiya document, it's there that in order to move beyond the first phase of our agenda, which is the second phase, we must make sure that we have one of our own who is on the board, who invariably would also have a say in EcoBank.
Yeah.
So it's a whole takeover strategy that is being implemented carefully. And I'm happy that this time around Ghanaians have been able to see through it and read through the minds of the architects, you know, who put together the Ajapadiya document for the purposes of taking over state properties. But you see, I am at a loss, and maybe Kojo can help me, because I find it very difficult in comprehending the media release that was put forward. Now, there are two contradictions. And again, I stand to be corrected, and maybe I did not look at it well. Now, let me take you to the document, right? If you read the document, which is the media or the press release, the media release, there were two different transactions, okay? The first transaction had happened in 2018. Or there was a purported sale or an offer, a purported offer in 2018.
Yeah.
Now, in 2018, they say, and for the purposes of better explanation and clarity, let me just read it. Could you are you with me?
I am.
Now, point one. The trust is seeking to partner a strategic investor to raise capital to invest in the hotels and also assist in their management. So this is the purpose for the sale. Two, the primary objective of finding a strategic investor is to increase efficiency, profitability, shareholder value, and long-term sustainability of the SNIT pension scheme. Point three, accordingly, SNIT went through international competitive tendering, which is the ICT. This is the most crucial point. Process as prescribed by the Public Procurement Act of 2003, as amended by Act 914 for the selection of a strategic investor. So they went through the process in accordance with the Public Procurement Act in order that they can select a strategic advisor. And this was the first part that I'm talking about. Now if you read the point 4, the point 4 says the trust commenced the process with the engagement. Listen, they commenced a process. What process are they talking about? They commenced the process of selling of some of the shares in those hotels. Okay, with the engagement of a transaction advisor through the ICT method of procurement, with publication of advertisement in the Daily Graphic on the 14th of November 2018 and in the Ghanaian Times on the 15th of November 2018. The advertisement was also published in an international magazine, The Economist, in its January 5
to 11. So that's like a weekly
2019 edition. Now listen, point 5. As of January 16th, 2019 deadline, 15 firms had expressed interest in submitting bids. Of these 15, 6 were shortlisted and issued with request for proposal documents. So as of 2018, there were proposals which were put forward to invite people who were interested in purchasing shares in the hotels belonging to SNIT to submit their proposals. And they went through the Public Procurement Act. They did so in accordance with the Public Procurement Act. So they went through a transaction advisor, right? Together, they issued publications inviting people to make offers. 15 people did so. 6 were selected out of them. So I would have thought that this whole brouhaha should have ended in 2018. Because then, if they had selected 6, I am not sure that Brian Champon's company at the time was operational, because the second phase of his hotel, the Rock City Hotel,
in 2019.
was in November 2019.
Yeah.
That is when the second phase had come upstream, right? Now, before November 2019, all these processes had started. 6 people were selected. None of them got the bid. So are they telling us that out of the 6 who were shortlisted as of 2018-2019, they didn't have the technical, the financial expertise to be able to deliver what it is that they were looking for? My first question. Now, if you look at the so point 6, approval was sought from the Central Tender Review Committee for the selection of a transaction advisor on 12th December 2019, and that was granted on the 24th of December 2019. 7. Following the selection of the independent transaction advisor to guide the selection of a strategic investor amongst others, further advertisements for an expression of interest for a strategic partner for Snake Hotels were placed in the Daily Graphic on 3rd February 2022. So, I mean, the first part of the advertisement that was made was in respect of what? The 2018-2019 advertisement or publications which were made in the Daily Graphic and the Ghanaian Times and Economist, it was for what? And what, even if that was a prelude to a final conclusive agreement between SNIT and whichever company that expressed subsequent interest, why the gap? Because 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 3 years.
Yeah.
So why the gap? Were they waiting for Rock City to complete and start operations before concluding the arrangement? I don't understand it, and I need explanation. Okay, so my thing is this, that if you intend for individuals, private individuals, politicians or whoever, if anybody expresses interest in wanting to buy state properties, I don't have a problem with that. But I think that the processes must be fair and equitable, and you must not at all favor one politician or one individual because he is in a political party to the detriment of the others. Because are they saying that all the other people who applied, what is the criteria?
Yeah.
What makes Rock City better than the others? Why was he the one who got the contract and not the others who were also shortlisted?
Right.
So we need to know. Could you want to make a point there?
Oh, I was going to wait till you...
No. So you make your point, I'll come back.
Right.
Kwame, I need your help. You know, you read something. I wonder if you could just go over the points 1 and 2. Just 1 and 2. They were quite brief, weren't they?
So the point 1 says the trust is seeking to partner a strategic investor to raise capital to invest in the hotels and also assist in their management.
That's 1, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's one.
We'll come to 2. Let's
just dissect the one.
Let's just pay a little bit of attention to what SNIT is telling us in point 1. So you, SNIT, every month Ghanaians give you money. Every month Ghanaians pay their pension. Every salaried worker on SNIT, every month you receive money from them. You own hotels. 2 of them, as far as we are aware, are very profitable. 2 are not, as far as we are aware. And we'll come to that. You want to what? Increase.
So what they want to
go with their words.
Investor to raise capital.
You want to raise capital
to invest in the hotels and also assist in their management.
All right. So you want to raise capital to invest in your hotels. But the money you get every day, that's not the money you want to use. You don't want to give your money, SNIT money, to them. Yeah. You want the hotels themselves to raise money, right? Okay, that's good business. But if that's what you want, then why are you selling your shares? If you sell your shares, does the money go to the hotel or to SNIT? You are selling your shares. The money will not go to the hotel, it will come to you, SNIT. Then you, SNIT, will have to give the money back to the hotel. So if really all that's going to happen is SNIT is going to give money to the hotel, then give it. Why sell your shares, especially in profitable hotels?
Yeah.
Why sell your shares? In any case, after you've sold your shares and the money comes to you, why will you give it to the hotel? You don't own it anymore. So, am I the only one who smells a fish here? Kwame, let's look at the second one.
The primary objective of finding a strategic investor is to increase efficiency, profitability, shareholder value, and the long-term sustainability of the SNIT pension scheme.
Okay.
So
you want the SNIT pension scheme to make more money from the hotels?
Yeah.
That's it. In a nutshell.
yeah.
Okay. So why are you selling your shares? After you sell your shares, how will the SNIT pension scheme make money from the hotels? Beloved, do you see? Do you see? How are we? I mean, how idiotic do they think we are? Now, these hotels that you are selling, you say they are not doing well. I mean, first of all, Labadi Beach Hotel made 25 million. They paid 25 million dividends into 2022 or 23.
Yeah. So much.
So please don't tell us that story that it's not making money. Ridge Royal, I can't even get a room there. It's always full. But they're telling me that it's not doing well. Okay. As for Elmina Beach Resort, I'm aware that they have a unique problem. The sea is just gaining on the land where they built, so it's becoming more and more precarious for people to even reside there. So the buildings were so close to the beachfront and the water is lapping at it, so they have some technical difficulties there. So I can understand if they are not making so much money there, and somebody might want to consider other ways of turning that asset into a profit-making one. Yeah, I can understand that. La Palm. Can anybody explain to me why a hotel that is right next to a profitable one, you are sharing the same beachfront, same access, same part of the city, same amenities? In fact, La Palm has some things that Labadi doesn't have.
Exactly. Even from the outside you can see it.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
From the outside you can see it.
Why is La Palm losing money?
Yeah.
May I make a suggestion? It's because of who we have chosen to run it. What happened at Labadi? The previous government, under the previous government, SNIT, brought in a management company. I think they're called Legacy Group or something like that. These guys came and turned everything around at Labadi, turned it into a losing business into a profit-making one. They paid dividends for the first time under this new management. And in fact, they were so good that SNIT decided to let them manage all of their hotels. So this Golden Beach Hotel chain, including La Palm, Buzia Beach, Elmina Beach Resort, and there's one more. I don't readily remember the fourth one. These four, they are in one group. They wanted these legacy guys to come and manage it. So there was a bid process. They won. New government came in and decided, no, we'll run it ourselves. So they got rid of them, brought their own people. Who are these own people that they brought in? Let me tell you who they are. I'll just name names so that we know who is doing this to us, and we can't pretend that we are victims and we don't know who our tormentor is. So who is running La Palm? The Golden Beach Resort Group is headed by someone called Nana Domtie Onwuna Kwache. Do you know who Nana Domtie Onwuna Kwache's father is? The chair of the Council of State. Okay. Does she have any, it's a lady, does she have any experience of managing hotels before she was brought to become group CEO of 4 of however many hotels are in the chain? Did she have any experience of managing hotels? My research tells me, and I'm happy if I'm wrong, I'll be happy. But my research tells me the only job I can find that she did before then was that she used to rent out chairs and tables. So in fact, some of the staff at La Palm call her chairs and tables.
I see.
If I'm lying, they are lying. If they are lying, I'm lying, or however it works. This is who we decided to send there to run the place. So she was running all 4 hotels. I don't know which of them is profitable. La Palm certainly isn't. Now let me tell you what happened. In 2022, in November, the general manager of La Palm, you know every hotel has its own general manager, and she's CEO. General manager of La Palm, Kwesi Kwenin, died. Now when he died, Nana Domtie Onakwache, the CEO, stepped in to act as general manager of La Palm for 6 months, from the 1st of November until the 28th of April. Okay, so 1st November 2022 to 28th of April 2023.
Right.
6 months she was acting manager. Then she handed over to Mr. Anthony Gansa, who, as I understand it, from May 2023 became general manager and is general manager as we speak. Anthony Gansa. Okay. I'm looking at a memo dated March 25, 2024. Okay. So a good year after Mr. Gansa became general manager. And this is headed acting allowance, general manager's position. Following the demise, it's a memo, right? It's addressed to the financial controller. Following the demise of the general manager, Mr. Kwesi Kwenin, which occurred in November, blah, 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 the chief executive officer, Nana Domtie Onwuna-Kwakye of the Golden Beach Hotels, acted as general manager of La Palm Royal Beach Hotel for 6 months and handed over to Mr. Anthony Gansa. Therefore, we write to request for acting allowance of an amount of $3,000 per month for 6 months, amounting to $18,000 to be paid to Nana Domtie Onwuna-Kwakye for the period she acted. This is someone who is already CEO.
Yeah.
And as CEO is being paid about $8,500 a month.
Wow. Interesting.
Allegedly. Then one of your general managers dies, a subordinate of yours dies, so you have to take up your subordinate's work, and you want them to pay you $3,000 every month for doing your subordinate's work. Government of Ghana, if you do your subordinate's work, do you collect your subordinate's salary? Is that what happens in government employment? I'm sorry, if that's what happens, someone should educate us. If you are sick and your boss does your work for a month, does your boss get paid your salary? Or if your position becomes vacant and your boss has to do it for a month, will they pay your boss your salary? And in any case, the man who died, the poor man who died, was he being paid $3,000 a month? He was seconded from SNIT. SNIT doesn't pay their staff in dollars. And so if you are seconded, you are still paid by your original employer.
Yeah.
So while he was at La Palm, it was SNIT paying him. Were they paying him $3,000 a month? Even if they were, why should the boss now come and collect for 6 months? And the new general manager approved this. And when you look at the letter, all kinds of annotations. Auditor will say, oh, that's not how we should do it. Unless the board approves, I won't pay. Then the general manager will write back, oh yes, it's not the board that appoints general manager. It is the CEO. So if the CEO appointed herself, then she must be paid. Then another, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 annotations on the memo. People fighting each other just to pay this lady $3,000 a month for a failing hotel. This is the kind of money people have pocketed for failure, and now they are selling it. So look, we are our own enemies. We pretend we don't know who is harming us. But it's us, because we are the ones giving them the opportunity. This thing that I've said, somebody who is a great big fan of the chair of the Council of State or a good friend of his daughter is going to come up on social media and come and say all kinds of things.
That's true.
But that's our money.
That's true.
That's our money. Our money that we don't have to treat you if you get a kidney failure. That money is not available to treat you because we are giving it to somebody. That same money is not available if you go to hospital and there's no bed. It's because we can't afford it. Why can't we afford it? Because somebody's daughter is being paid twice to fail. Come on. What is your deal breaker? What is the thing? What is the one thing which will stop you from following these political thieves blindly?
Well, Kwame, I want to ask you: is this reversible? Especially when you look at past precedents. You look at precedents. Do you think that this is reversible? I know Labour will be meeting the President of Ghana. TUC have been loud and clear with regards to their stance on this purported sale. But with what we've seen in the past, do you think that this is a deal that can be reversed?
Yes, there's no conversation about it being reversed. It has to be reversed. It has to be reversed. Because, you see, I think that, and I thought Kojo was going to go on this tangent with the point one, when they say that the trust is seeking to partner a strategic investor to raise capital to invest in the hotels and also assist in their management. So you think that the only way to raise capital is to sell off your shares? Is that the only way to raise capital?
And selling all of it.
60% shares, and then invest in which hotel again?
Do a share
So,
subscription.
because you see, the thing is that there are 6 hotels. They are seeking to sell off 4 and leaving out 2. The 2 that they are leaving out, in my estimation, are the ones which are not even profitable. I've not even heard of them. And the ones that are very profitable, Ridge Royal Hotel is always full. Could you said it? I'm supposed to be in Cape Coast on Friday. They said, well, you can't get a room. It's full. You know, Labadi, is it Labadi? Labadi is always full with Espas and things like that, right? So, really, I mean, even if they intend to go on with that, I think that the deal must be such that, you know, SSNIT at least reserve some percentage of shares in this hotel. You can't sell off all your shares.
Yeah.
Then you don't have a seat at the table. I mean, whatever decision that is taken in respect of the hotels, you have nothing. And you see, the thing is that all these years they've managed to run the hotels such that they can still generate some revenue and to use that to pay pensioners, right? So what has changed? Kojo has told you that in order that we will be able to manage the other hotels well, there were some agreements which were reached, and those people demonstrated that they could manage the hotels very well. So why change them? Why fix it if it's not broken? Why come and change them? Because you want job for the boys? Is that what it is? You understand? So in this country, the only problem that we have is that people who do not have any iota of idea in any particular field will be put there because of political affiliations, clientelism, you know, somebody's daughter, somebody's son, somebody's this, somebody's that. So they go and put the person, even if the person is not qualified. Right. And I think that we should begin to rethink and relook at how we do things in order that we'll be able to position some of these companies very well. Because I really, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at all that we are selling it off. I don't have a problem if Brian Champon is buying, if Kojo Yankson has the money and he wants to buy. I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't have a problem that an indigenous Ghanaian business is purchasing this, right? But is it really important to sell off the shares? Are we saying that we can't look elsewhere to seek for proper? You can have some partnerships. You can partner. If Rock City wants to really invest, they can partner. To say that, okay, partner, bring this X amount of money. In the profit sharing, you will get X amount of money, I will get Y amount of money. That's
but not Rock City.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So there are different varied ways of.
Or instead of
doing
selling off your shares, you
Yeah.
could do a share subscription.
A share subscription.
So you sell more.
Even Ghanaians can even subscribe.
Yeah.
Float the shares.
That
Let's
will
buy.
raise capital.
Yeah, let's
And
buy.
that one, the money goes to the
Directly to
the
SNIT
hotel,
and the hotel.
not to SNIT.
You get the point. Float shares. Let Ghanaians also have a stake. I mean, 1 city, 2 city, 3 city. If you have over 30 million Ghanaians, investing in buying 1 shares in these SNIT hotels, you don't think that you'll be able to generate enough to invest in there? In any event, what sort of investment are they talking about?
Yeah,
If it's
that's a good question.
Yeah, if it's about patronage, if you invest $10 million and people will knock on. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just about managing it well, getting the right people, and ensuring that it is actually very liquid. In this country, even tourism, because the only reason why I would want to go to Elmina, or I would want to go to Tamale, or go to Brekum and all these areas is if there's something nice to see, if there's something attractive to see. You understand what I'm saying? Our tourism sector has collapsed, and that is why it is affecting all of these hotels. In COVID-19, I had a privilege of seeing and experiencing firsthand what the general manager of Ridge Royal Hotel did in order to sustain the business. I'm telling you. So they have sacrificed so much, and yet they are not being appreciated for the sacrifices that they've put into these hotels. I think that really is a bad deal, and we must not at all countenance this.
Is there a way back?
There are several ways back. The first and easiest one is that the president should sack every member of that board.
Will he?
Of course he won't. I mean, he lovingly chose those members, the ones that are selected by the president. Elizabeth Ohene is the board chair. He put her there with much reverence, I'm sure. I don't think that he is of the inclination to just go and remove these people. In any case, he tends to err on the side of you are innocent if you work for him. You write a my dear Elizabeth letter rather than remove those board members and replace them with those who take a different direction. But the truth is, this was not a secret deal. It wasn't done, it wasn't hidden. It's not like the board members woke up one morning and someone in the company had gone to sign the deal. They've been aware of it all the way through. They've approved it. In fact, we learned from the unions that their members were overruled. That's what they claim.
Yeah,
their members objected and they were overruled in this deal. So the board has been fully aware of this all this time. The president hasn't found anything wrong with it. Why would he do that now? No doubt. So that would have been the most decisive thing. If this government wanted to show that they don't tolerate such a thing, that would have been the most decisive move. I mean, the Agric minister, I don't want to put too much on him, because he's doing what we have all normalized. I'm sure it probably didn't even flicker in his mind that for his company to enter such a deal with government while he's in government would have any kind of issue, because we've accepted, we've all embraced it.
No, even when you interviewed him, he sought to mention that he also knows some NDC MPs who are shareholders.
Precisely.
I'm trying to justify the
nationalization. So I mean, it's something that everybody has come to embrace. So I don't want to put much on him, but the board themselves, at this point. Anyway, maybe the only hope would be the unions.
Yeah.
If they threaten, because SNIT belongs to the workers.
Yeah.
So if the workers say we don't want,
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
If the workers say we don't want this, then that goes above and beyond the president and everyone. Then nobody can say we won't do it. So maybe our last hope is with the unions.
And I think they've demonstrated that they don't want it, and they're going to ensure that the deal doesn't go through.
It doesn't see the light of day.
Look, I do want to see a Ghanaian stepping up, taking ownership of businesses. I want to see that. But first of all, does SNIT need to sell these hotels?
That's the point. We don't need to sell it.
Does SNIT need to sell them? Or do we just need better management? Do we just need to remove people's daughters and bring professionals to come and do a better job? Is that all we need? Because if these hotels are making profit, the workers benefit.
Absolutely.
SNIT benefits. We all gain. So, I mean, really, why are we going for the nuclear option? Why are we selling? We just need better management, if you ask me. But nobody ever asks me.
Right. Thank you very much. You're still watching The Couch. This is the Thursday edition. This is Hard Talk. I've been joined by Kojo Yankson and Kwame Osudan. So we just exhausted the first topic, the sale of 60% stake in 4 hotels to Honorable Brian Acheampong. Interesting conversation that was. Now, if you look at the exchange rate, you look at the CD to dollar ratio at 0.15 now, as of today. The euro is at 16.30. That's 16 cedis, 30 pesos to 1 euro. The pound is hovering at a hefty 19 cedis to 1 pound. 19 cedis to a pound. Well, I never thought that a day would come where you'd buy 1 pound for 19 cedis, but. This is a real issue, and it appears that from where we sit right now, if we do not get another tranche of IMF money, there's going to be an upward trajectory in the dollar rate, and would see the CD continue to spiral. Yesterday, I posed a question to our viewers on social media. I asked them, what at all do we have to do to reverse the galloping CD to dollar rate? What should we do? Because this IMF money, if it comes within a few 1, 2, 3 weeks, it's exhausted, and that's it. We've gone back to factory reset. What should we do, short term, long term, to reverse this very worrying trend? Kojo.
Listen carefully, children are about to solve our economic problems. I wish. Look, we already know. We already know what needs to be done. The problem is that we are struggling with the reality that we won't do it. We either can't or won't do it. And so these problems will continue. Let me try and break it down. So the dollar is a commodity. I mean, currency is a commodity. And the exchange rate is just the price of that commodity. So as the CD is depreciating against the dollar, what it just means is that the cost of a dollar is becoming higher and higher for Ghanaians and our CD. Okay. What can stop it? Well, first of all, why is it a problem? Why is it even a problem? If $1 costs 500 cedis, then if you want to buy something, you just go and find 500 cedis and come and buy it. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that the reason why the dollar is getting more and more and more expensive, there are 2 things. First of all, is the supply of it. People are realizing that it's more valuable to keep dollars, and there are lots of people keeping dollars. Look, go into some of these areas, Nima and those Nimagata. I'm sure somebody can take you into somebody's house where you will find millions of dollars packed into bags and cabinets. And they are keeping it as a store of value. Millions. Companies that operate in Ghana, when they make profit, they immediately convert it into dollars because our CD is volatile. So they immediately convert it to dollars and send it off to their shareholders. So the dollar is scarce, which makes the CD weaker because you need more to find the scarce dollars. Now, what does this mean for you and me? Well, I mean, picture the woman who runs the store in your area where you buy your milk, your rice, your juice. Everything she's selling to you, she imports. That means that she pays dollars for it. Yeah. So at the end of April, she went and spent some $10,000 to stock her shop. Then she sells to you and your neighbors. You all come and buy every day. At the end of the month, she has sold $10,000 worth of stuff. So she has to now go back and buy another $10,000, right? Now the plan is that she's made some profit on top of her money. because she bought $10,000, she added some small amounts to it, sold, and has made her money back. So now she should have $10,000 plus profit. Then she can take the 10,000, go and buy more, come and do it and make some more. That's how she's making a living, right? The problem is, when she bought the $10,000 worth of things in April, it cost her about 13 cedis per dollar. So it was about $130,000 that she spent. Then she came to sell it and made some profit, maybe some 5,000 cedi profit for a month's work. So she made 135,000 cedis from selling her $10,000 of goods. Then she woke up this morning and they said a dollar is now 15.15. 15 cedis, 15 pesos. So if she wants to go and buy the same $10,000 worth of goods, she now needs 150,000 cedis to buy the same amount. But she only made 135. So immediately after working for 1 month, she's lost money. Can you imagine that? Working, making profit, and still losing money. So what does she have to do to the next batch of things she buys? She has to increase the price, which means you now can't afford your milk. You now can't afford your rice. You now can't afford your juice. And it's not her fault. It's either that or she shuts the shop down. Then it's not that you can't afford, you can't find milk, you can't find rice, you can't find juice. That's what it means when we are failing to control the value of our cedi. That's what it means. Now, I've talked about how speculators make the price go up because they hoard the currency. So now you ask yourself, okay, what will stop it? What will stop it? And everybody keeps saying, oh, some IMF money is coming. We went to beg, and so, they promised us some money, so some of it is coming. $350 million is coming. When that hits our accounts, our cedi will get some strength because suddenly there will be dollars available, and doesn't have to chase, the cedi doesn't have to chase the dollar around, so we'll be fine. Okay. Two things. One, like you said, the minute that $350 million hits our account, it will evaporate. The minute. It's not even in a week's time. Because we already spent $300 million a month buying crude only. Petroleum products only. 300 million every month. So the IMF money is gone. Because I haven't mentioned all the other things we import.
Yeah.
Just crude. Wasa. So that money will make no difference. Now, the speculator knows this. He knows. So when he's trying to decide whether he should sell his dollars or keep it, what will he choose? He knows that that money will not stabilize the cedi. So his cedi will not gain any value. The dollar will continue to have value. So why will he give up his dollar? He will actually buy more and hoard more. It makes more sense, doesn't it? So the dollar will become more scarce, not less scarce. So IMF money will come and go, and there is nothing to stop the dollar. That's my real concern here. My real concern. We are heading towards a place of things being too expensive to things being scarce, things being impossible to find. You can't even buy anymore. Look at what is happening to the price of fuel. Just look. So as oil prices also do their thing, I mean, the Ghanaian people, there's no salvation. What should we do? Maybe we should just dollarize the economy. That's what some economists are suggesting. We should all just start spending dollars. Pay your staff in dollars. When you go shopping, spend dollars. Let's just let the Americans decide on our fiscal policy for us. And yeah, maybe that's the way forward. I mean, they are not getting it as wrong as we are. COVID hit them harder than it hit us. But our economy suffered more than theirs did. So maybe we should let them decide what happens to our currency. Let's just use theirs. That's what some are suggesting. Honestly, I'm not an economist. All I know is that at some point, I will go to the shop to buy things for my family, and I won't get it.
Right. Kwame.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Do you buy dollars?
I'm also no, I don't. I don't buy dollars. I'm also not an economist, and so I will not be able to deal with the issues from the economics perspective. You know, the demand and supply, diminishing marginal utilities and things like that. This was, back in the day. So I will not be able to look at it from that perspective. But I will look at it from the realist perspective and what we are faced with as a people. And the damning consequences of the effect of the depreciation of the city on businesses and on individuals. Look, if you're a politician and you are campaigning, you ought to be very minded and guided. You need to be very careful what you say. We vote for people based on policies and promises and things they tell us. Because we, as Ghanaians, even though, yes, there are some very intelligent people, we tend to rely so much on the promises that are made, by these politicians. And on the basis of that, we give them our mandate. And so if you have political leaders or political elites who demonstrate to us that they have the wherewithal, that they have the magic wand, that they will be able to solve our economic problems for us, and we vote for them, we expect that they deliver. We expect that they deliver in exclusion of, excuses. To the exclusion of excuses, sorry. So, I mean, President Akufo-Addo tells you that we are going to move the country from taxation to production. And he's not a fool. He knew exactly what he was saying. He knew why he said what he said. Because if we are over-reliant on taxation, it means that we are further burdening the people, which invariably affects how the economy, the currency performs and things like that. But if we are into production, we produce a lot of the things that we eat here, or a lot of the things that we rely on here in this country, then there is no need importing those things, because importation would mean that you change your currency into a foreign currency, and then you go and of course, it further burdens the currency, and it stresses the currency, and therefore the currency would always underperform, right? If we had followed through with that idea of eliminating taxation from the equation of our governance process and embracing the policy of production or productivity, I'm not sure we'll be having this conversation today, right? If you tell us that the fundamentals must be strong in order that your city can also be strong, then when you come, demonstrate that in practical terms what you meant when you told us that if you want the currency to be strong, it means that your fundamentals must also be strong. What did you mean by that? You see, but then again, I blame also the Ghanaian people, because all these things were said without forcing answers or forcing the how from the people who said the things they said. Do you understand? Because so now, I mean, I think now we should be well aware that when people come and they tell us they will do X, Y, Z, we should not just accept it hook, line, and sinker. We should ask them how they intend to do that. Because if you tell me the fundamentals, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. What did you mean when you said what is the fundamentals? Is it inflation? Is it what's it called? Is it taxation? Is it how you spend money? Is it your expenditure? Is it your revenue generation? What is it? So that we'll be able to know exactly how you can deal with those challenges. Again, for me, I think that as a nation, we behave as people who do not have money, okay, but then we spend more, even when we don't have money to pay for the little that we are supposed to pay for. So, for instance, I know that I'm paid 200 Ghana cedis, and yet I want to hold iPhone 14, 15. Which costs well over 12,000, 13,000, 15,000 Ghana cedis, right? And I know that my salary cannot pay for that. But I will go and borrow money from Kojo Yankson, borrow money from Bless, borrow money from Justice Appiah, borrow money from Amma Pratt, put all of them together, and then go and buy the iPhone 15. I'll buy the iPhone 15, use the iPhone 15. So when I am paid my salary of 200 Ghana cedis, I will be left with nothing because I have to pay Kojo 5 cedis out of that. I have to pay you 5 cedis, 5 cedis, 5 cedis. So by the time I'm done paying all these things, I have nothing left. And that is precisely what is happening. We borrow to consume in this country. We don't borrow to invest. We borrow to consume, right? If you look at the revenue that we generate internally, and then the budget that we prepare for the purposes of bringing about, growth.
Yeah.
It far exceeds.
Yeah.
The budget far exceeds the revenue that we generate internally. And where do we generate our revenues from? From the internal taxation that we do. How much do we make from that? So why don't we cut our cloth according to our size, like like the mantra, usual mantra? Cut your cloth, cut your coat according to your cloth. Okay, if you know that you are supposed to pay 1,000 people, why don't you do a budget that reflects the payment of the 1,000 people? If you know that you cannot pay Kojo Yanseng $1 million a month, if you pay him $1 million a month, it's going to stretch your pocket, and therefore you have to go and look for money to come and invest in the TV station. Why pay Kojo Yanseng $1 million?
Please don't discourage.
No, I'm not discouraging. I'm just. You see,
also for the record, you are not paid $1 million.
No, of
But I would like to be. So don't discourage anyone
No,
from
but
paying me
you
$1
see,
million.
you should be paid $1 million when the business in which you are is profitable.
Right.
The country Ghana is broke.
Yeah.
The country Ghana should be for sale because we are not. I don't know what it is that we are doing in this country that is profitable, to be honest with you. Until today, I do not understand why, and I've said this countless number of times, and I know people will disagree with me, but I don't understand why the Agric Ministry has no business being in agriculture. I don't understand why. Why it is just a ministry with an oversight responsibility. I don't understand. They should be on the grounds. When you are flying to the northern part of this country and you are descending, and you see the vast lands we have there, you ask yourself, so why can't we invest in agriculture? Why? Why are we not investing in agriculture? I do not understand why the transport ministry is not directly involved in the transportation sector of this country. I don't understand it. I do not. There are some sectors which, in my estimation, must be very practical, so that if you don't have any experience or expertise, you have no business being the minister.
Yeah.
You have no business being the minister. Okay? If we were a country that is serious and a country that invests so much, we would have invested in agriculture. Remember, one of the coup d'etats who, in the annals of the history of this country, is considered to be one of the best leaders is a Champon.
Yeah.
Why? Because of his policies.
Yeah.
You may see him as an evil person, but there are something that he did which at the time helped the country.
Operation Feed Yourself.
Operation Feed Yourself. It helped. Thomas Sankara is popular in Burkina Faso not because he was so handsome, because of the policies that he introduced, which policies helped the country. He invested hugely in agriculture. When you are going to Ivory Coast by road, do you see the large plantation that they have there of palm? Ivory Coast, just go by road. I've been to Ivory Coast by road. Banana, plantain, I bet I very well say palm. Yeah, you see plantation there. Cocoa. Now we have given all our lands to galamseyers and to Chinese people to come and mine from our soil, which soil could have been used for agriculture. I remember growing up, there was very little knowledge about galamsey. I grew up in the Ashanti region. I grew up in Asante Mampong. There was very little knowledge. I used to go to the farm with my father. Okay? And all we knew at the time was to grow maize, was to grow cassava. My father had a farm. He was a police officer, but he had a farm. And there were several other police officers who had farms. I remember at the time, Inspector Bentel, he had a farm. We used to go to the farms together, all of us. So we didn't even buy food from the marketplaces because we were cultivating those things ourselves. These are the very small things that we should be doing in this country that will help augment the city. Because if you are relying so much on, right now, even toothpick we import. Toothpick, toilet roll we import. we import virtually everything. Okay? Everything. We import everything. So if you import everything in this country, why cry when your city is suffocating? Why? So we must be deliberate. There must be a policy to reduce certain things which can be produced in this country, okay, from being imported. We must reduce the importation of these things that we can produce locally, like rice. Nigeria started a policy. In fact, I think they have fruit juice and then rice.
Yeah.
They started a policy of discouraging the importation of rice.
Yeah.
So they made the taxes at the ports higher. If you imported rice, they will make it high. The tax was so high that people were discouraged. So now they have to rely on locally produced rice, and that is what they are feeding till today.
I understand that was actually championed by a Ghanaian, a former member of parliament. I've forgotten his name.
Right. So there must be a policy that can actually help the economy resuscitate. Because see, look, it's not rocket science really. I'm not an economist, and I think that there are some fundamental things, if put together or if put in place, will help ameliorate all these challenges that we are confronted with. To be honest, it's just that sometimes we create this highfalutin, situation that makes it look so gruesome and so scary, as if to say that it is not achievable. It is achievable. If people can come down from their high horses and engage the ordinary Ghanaians and have a tete-a-tete, understand their plight, go to the different communities, go to the different regions, zone the regions, insist that Galamsey is stopped, insist that we reintroduce the concept of agriculture, not necessarily the big one, how do they call it? Those mechanized ones, not necessarily that. I mean, we can have that if people have the finances or the financial muscle to be able to invest. We can do that, but also encourage people to go into this small, farming and resource them, make it more attractive. You understand? People must. You see, when you are in an ivory tower, you are in that tower, and then you think that everything is well and good. Ivory tower can only be an ivory tower if the door is opened for everybody to enter. Then that is an ivory tower. But so long as you are in the ivory tower and you are just putting spotlights on people, looking at them from the apex of that ivory tower, you will not be able to understand the real issues of the people. You need to descend, be with the people, understand the people. I remember that back in the day, the explanation of the economy was not on the basis of the rise and fall of inflation. It was on the basis of the prices of goods and services in the markets.
Yeah.
So today, if you went to the market, if you went to the market today, a tuber of yam kojo, I promise you, I bought one for 35 Ghana cedis. 35 Ghana cedis. A tuber, one small one, tuber of yam, 35 Ghana cedis. Tells you how bad it is. Yeah. And all these things are imported. They import tomato. We import tomato from Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
We import contombre. We import contombre.
We import onion.
Now, when you go to the marketplace and you want to buy tomato, they will ask you, do you want the local ones or you want the Burkina Faso ones? They will ask you. But what do you think? They have to change money. People think that it's only the dollar that affects the currency. But it's also all the other small, exchanges that we are engaged in that ultimately, cumulatively, affects the performance of the city.
Yeah.
So please, I mean, it is trite knowledge that as at October 2022, the city had depreciated by 55%. And now, the depreciation is just a free fall. You understand? So we need to be very, very deliberate and intentional about introducing policies which works. Minimize the importation of products that we can produce in this country. Encourage farmers to be more productive and to be more creative in ensuring that we have, food that we'll be able to rely on and depend on, and reduce. Once we reduce the importation of things that we produce in this country, trust me, the cedi will gain its strength. Otherwise, I'm
Not
sorry.
happening. Kojo, why have we failed to implement the very hard decisions? Because, for instance, if you are telling me, like Kwame suggested, if you're telling me that let us, make port charges for the importation of some essentials like rice, like beverages, extremely high, so that local producers could also sell, then it means that that's a decision that's going to bite. AGI and co will come at you. Some organizations will come at you. But why have we failed to do that? If really we are hell bent on changing our situation.
Let me answer it this way. Every human being, every sane human being, operates in their own self-interest. I think we can agree on that. The minute you stop operating in your own self-interest, then you are not sane anymore. Okay. Now, what do you do with problems? You either solve them or you endure them. Those are the only two options. You can either solve your problem or endure it. Okay, with that in mind, your question is really, why have we not solved our problem? It's because we keep choosing leaders to whom it's not in their personal interest to solve our problems. It is in their personal interest for us to endure our problems. It's in their personal interest for us to be dependent on imports rather than for us to start manufacturing. Look, Ghana is not that big. I'm sure one farmer from America can come and till the whole of Ghana effectively and grow produce from it or farm animals on it. Ghana is not that big. Agriculture has become so developed that they are even using satellites. Look, we still use hoe and cutlass, and we want our currency to be the same as people who are sending people to the moon. I mean, are we serious? So the fact is, we've never chosen leaders who want to solve our problems. We choose leaders who benefit from us having problems. So all they will do is they will do things that sound as if they are solving our problem, just so that you will pick them over their opponents. Then once they are in place, they can just maintain our problems for us, because that makes them money. As long as there's a problem, there's procurement. As long as there's procurement, there's personal gain. So nobody is interested in fixing the economy. But that will solve the problem. When the problem goes away, when people are able to actually manufacture and export and make foreign exchange for this nation, then those who are dumping their goods here and handing a few millions to one person in government so that they can come and dump their 2-year-old chicken on us. That person no longer has a market here if we start producing fresh chicken ourselves.
Right.
So why would any leader encourage us to produce fresh chicken ourselves? Why? So that his $1 million every few months, no. So we are yet to choose a leader who will put public good over private interest.
Right.
When we do that, these problems, the solutions, they are already there. All we need is someone who is interested in implementing them.
Right. We have just 8 more minutes. Would briefly discuss the last topic, just some 3 minutes each. Then we wrap up. I'm going to start with Kwame Osudan Sohob Sinadoye. He confessed to detonating a dynamite in 2016, I think a week to the December 7 general election in 2016. Now he confessed to that. He's been picked up by the police. I understand.
He confessed to what exactly?
To detonating a dynamite.
That he himself went and detonated?
Yes, he said he did that. I've listened. I think it was in an interview where he said he did all of these things to aid the party to win the 2016 general elections.
Well, I mean, listen, you've just said that he himself went on radio or on TV and told everybody in this country that he detonated dynamite in the strongholds of the NDC. It goes to tell you that our elections have not always been freer and fairer. It goes to tell you that we ought to be more circumspect in our electoral processes, so that in the final analysis the will of the people will be upheld. I have not watched or listened to the tape, and so I'll be very measured, in what I say, and especially also because it's been apprehended. The matter is now being investigated. I'm sure he was sent to court and granted bail.
Yeah.
Once the matter is before a competent court of jurisdiction, a sub judice, and therefore I'm very careful as to what I would say at this material moment. Let's see how it unfolds. Once it's a confession statement, he was not under any duress. Nobody, he was not under any compulsion to make those statements. He made those statements out of his own free will, and therefore I will allow the court processes to be triggered, and then let's see the outcome of it.
Right. Kojo.
Well, I mean, it's a very serious crime to throw dynamite, in order to influence an election. I mean, to throw dynamite, to use explosives on the general population, that's terrorism. So it's a very serious offense. What is not a serious offense is telling lies on radio. So even after Hobson Adwoye has said all that, he's at liberty to say he was lying, and the police will have the job of proving that what he said he did is actually what he did. Right? The police will still have that job to do if they're going to prosecute him. And that is where I'm a little bit, that's where I'm a little bit concerned about the police's process here, because they arrested him. I don't know whether they actually first investigated, found evidence that A, dynamite was thrown, B, it was thrown by Hobson Adwoye, before they went to arrest him. Or they did the normal police thing, which is, I'll arrest you first and investigate second. Or hope that after I arrest you, you will say something that then becomes my case against you in court. That lazy approach, I hope the police have abandoned it. If they have arrested him, I hope it's because they have evidence. If not, this will end up being a waste of everybody's time and an unnecessary curtailment of the civil liberties of someone who clearly is not to be trusted. He's either a terrorist or a liar.
Right.
There's no option C. So honestly, I don't know how much of the nation's time and resources should be wasted on this person. If he's a terrorist, then yes, we must dedicate all our resources to imprisoning him for terrorism. But if he's not, then he's wasting our time. So I really hope they are able to sort it. I hope the police are on their game. They know what they are doing. They are supposed to charge him very soon if they are going to. So let's see what they charge him with. That will tell us a bit more. But politicians need to just watch their mouths, for goodness sake. We are not children anymore.
Right. Thank you very much. Our time is up. We need to go. But it's been a very insightful, very deep conversation. I've personally learned so much with the sort of analysis that my guests here they put up today in relation to the topics that we tabled for this evening's discourse. It's been a pleasure, Kojo Yankson, and also Kwame Usudan. So my good self, Kokwa Loma, so I sat in for Amaprat. It's always, I find a lot of joy in doing that, by the way. And so I want to say a good evening to you as we depart. Of course, I'll see you again when I see you. Bye.